My name is Tuli Kraus, CEO of Blackbird Recruiting. On today's episode, our guest is David Wanounou, an entrepreneur, business consultant, CEO of the Trepper plan. He has a lot of good advice, value to share with you. I hope you enjoy. Welcome to the podcast, David.
Shalom Aleichem. David Wanounou, you are?
My name is Tuli Kraus.
Okay. From?
Blackbird Recruiting. What's your story? Where are you from? Where'd you grow up?
Born in Brooklyn,
Okay.
Flatbush.
Okay.
Maimonides Hospital. I guess that was a big thing back then. So Borough Park, I guess. No? If that counts.
I was also born in Maimonides.
Right? I think everybody at that time, I think, was born in Maimonides.
People still.
People still?
Yeah.
Yeah. Went to Tver Melech, Tarbadas, Mir, then went to Denver.
How'd you start your career?
My first job actually was over a break from yeshiva. If I remember correctly, the very first thing that I actually got a paycheck from, there's a friend of mine whose mother worked for, I think it was like the Social Security Department or food stamps, and they needed help for a few days filing files.
Okay.
That's my first job that I really recall ever got, I got that first paycheck from.
How old were you? Like a Ben Azmanim thing?
Yeah, it was like a Banas Mountain thing. We did it for like 2-3 days. It was in Williamsburg, I remember. I was like 15 years old. I wasn't even 16. I could have been.
Child labor.
It was probably child labor, you know. It was like some kind of a government agency. I remember I was helping them out in the office.
How much was that check for?
Oh, you know what? I wish I would remember that. But if the taxes, I think I owed them money at the end of the day. You know, it was a very.
Did you do that a lot when you were like a booker? Like side hustles, Ben Azmanim?
Mostly counselor type jobs. It wasn't
Counselor?
Counselor. You know,
But you can't do that Pesach or Sukkot.
Right? No, that Pesach and Sukkot, not that many. I remember. I don't know why that one actually really stands out. But one of the other jobs I started off was in real estate.
That's after you got married, no?
No.
Oh, before
actually,
that?
Before I got married.
What'd you do?
I did real estate sales. Actually, it was very, very unsuccessful. I was there, but I was a real hustler. You know, anybody who sells residential real estate will know without a car, you can't survive.
Right.
You know, you're picking up clients, going back and forth, you know. I must have gone through a pair of shoes a month. I walked for miles.
Why didn't you get a bike?
I went, that's the way I did it, you know. I didn't really grow up with so much money. Father was a Rebbe, my mother was a housewife. Great family, you know, but just didn't have those kind of opportunities. I Baruch Hashem, developed such relationships with people. My clients used to call me up to pick me up to take me to houses. Yeah, it was like, we had
How
some
old were you?
great.
High teens?
Yeah.
17,
18, 19, you know. I was in Beis Medrash for 3 years, so...
Okay. Closed anything?
So you want to hear a crazy story? One of my first closings that I thought I was going to have, and emphasis on thought, I had closed on a beeper chain, 3 to 5 stores.
It was retail or residential?
No, I did residential, but you know,
Okay.
I was starting off.
Beeper.
You get what you get, and I remember I was getting my first beeper, and you know, you start talking to people.
Yeah.
You know, hi, this is what I do. Here's my card. I got some other guys in the office to get beepers from him.
Yeah.
You know what? If I'm looking to expand, if you could find me some locations, I'd be interested in it. And it's the funniest story. I found him a location. My boss had a big retail building.
Okay.
He says, here's good. If he's interested, here's the contract. Great. And he goes, and if he does that, I have a cousin who owns another retail location. I'm going to get him that. And if he does that, I have another location. Basically,
Lined up.
within a few hours,
Yeah.
this was going to be my first real commission.
Uh-huh.
Like, it was going to be something like, wow. I don't remember what the issue was, but I went to my client, and he already gave me my commission check. I remember I had it.
Your boss gave it to you?
No, the client. He gave me, but he post-dated the deposit check.
On purpose? Like he knew what he was doing?
No, he's like, whatever. He just needed, you know.
Okay.
And my boss said, post-dated? Who does he think he is giving me a post-dated check? He took it personally. You tell him I need the check now.
Okay.
He wasn't even moving in yet, but
He signed the contract.
signed the contract. Everything else was done. That's why I had the commission check.
Okay.
Right? So I went back to him. I didn't tell him he doesn't want it. I thought, is it possible that maybe we could just move the dates around the contract, whatnot, so when you have your boss doesn't trust me? That was his response. I said, no, it's nothing to do with trust. And I'm trying to wiggle out of it. You tell your boss I'm leaving it the same. So I go back to my boss. I'm trying to negotiate with him. He goes, no. We're drawing the line in the sand. Anyways,
How much was it post-dated for? A few months?
No, it was an ego issue for both of them. They were two special people, shall we say. And he goes, you know what? If I don't trust him in my building, I'm then not trusting in my cousin's building. And if you're not trusting my cousin's building, so basically all these deals that I made
On a post-dated check?
Something. I had the check. He took the check, ripped it up. I had 4 guys in that office who walked over to me, and collectively between them, there was probably about 100 years of residential real estate experience, and they've all told me in all their years they've never seen a commission check that was handed over ripped up. I said, I'm glad I could be your example for life. That was really helpful. It was really what I was striving for. My boss felt so horrible. He came over to me and he says, David, I feel bad. Here's the check you were supposed to get. And I ripped his check up. I said, I didn't earn it. This is part of doing business. I understand that some are going to win, some are going to lose. I'm not taking this check from you. And I gave it back.
How much was the check for? Do you remember? 10
This
grand, like more or less?
It was the first check of a few checks I was supposed to get. If I remember correctly, it was somewhere between $2,000 and $3,000.
For 19 years old?
It was my first deal. That was that was. I want you to know something. I was not very successful.
Your parents raised you well.
I was not very successful in that, but it did teach me a lot. I learned a lot over there. There's never been a job that I have not learned something from, but I could tell you, I was there for about a year. I learned so many business and fundamental life rules of how to function in a business, how to just...
Would you be able to share an example?
Let me think of a good
First of all,
one.
deal is not closed till you have the check in your hand and deposit it in the bank.
Deposited
in the bank.
Clears.
Clears.
But you know what? I'll tell you, I'll share one. It was a crazy, crazy story. But here I am, this naive 19-year-old. It was a crazy story, this one. I learned such an amazing lesson. So you can imagine, this has to be about 30 years ago, at least. And I remember the lesson till today. You always have to listen to people. People don't, people can listen versus hearing. Just let something absorb in your mind. I had a client. This is actually, basically to kind of give you how my life went. I started in residential. Residential was pretty boring, very monotonous, very emotional sale.
Right.
My boss promoted me to manage the commercial real estate department.
Commercial is retail.
Commercial, investment.
Oh, okay.
And again, I wasn't that successful, but I don't know what. I just connected with people. But my greatest challenge, I even know what my greatest challenge was. I was not a good closer. And it's funny, years later, I met a friend of mine who was very, very successful. And he looked at me and goes, I could have fixed you back then. I said, I have no doubt. There was just nobody there. I needed that molder. But you'll appreciate this conversation that happened. So this guy had a ladies' clothing store, discount ladies' clothing store. Yeah. And he comes over and he goes, David, I'm looking for another store in Bensonhurst on 86th Street. Anybody from Brooklyn who knows 86th? Yep. Very, very high traffic retail location. You find me the location, just bring me the lease. No negotiations, no nothing. I'm moving there. I need to be on that block. Just bring me the lease. I'm like, I got a lead. That's it. Now, remind you, I don't have a car or anything like that. I got there. Don't ask how I got there. It's a story in its own.
You did not walk.
I did not walk that.
City bus.
No, it was. I got there. Let's just leave it like that. I got there.
Standing like this on 16th, 18th Avenue.
But one thing I was not a lazy guy. Okay, and I was a get the job done kind of guy. I hope I could still say that about myself. But I got there, and I'm walking up and down the block, and I find all these open locations.
available, like empty.
Yeah. I'm like, what's this problem? So, again, I was just starting out there. So, like, I'm the big genius. That's it. I'm closing the deal. And this would have been a much bigger deal. This would have been a much, much bigger deal. And I come back to him. I found your location. He's like, gives me this look. No, you didn't. So what do you mean I didn't? I was just down there. I found here. No, you didn't. And he's fighting with me on it. He's like looking at me. He says, I'm telling you, I drive on this block at least 2-3 times a week.
Is it a
looking
different
for a
86th
location.
Street?
No, same 86th Street. But this actually taught me such a tremendous life lesson, I can't begin to tell you. And we're going back and forth on this. I said, what, you calling me a liar? Let's get in the car right now, we're going. And he was getting into his car, and he was going to take me there. So he goes, wait a minute. Which side of the block? Now, this is after about a 10-minute back and forth. I said, now you're being picky? You're being picky which side of the block? You fool that you are.
That's what he said.
He goes, what side of the block? So I told him, what does it make a difference? He says, go back. He says, I'm not even going to tell you. You go back to that street and you tell me which side of the street I should be on. Anyways, long story short, there was one side of the street that literally 80% of the foot traffic was on, and the other side of the street was virtually empty. I'm looking. You know the lesson he taught me? This was how he started the question. Where is the sun? The sunnier side of the block had all the foot traffic. The
other side was in the shadows?
The other side, there's a train. Anybody who knows that block knows the train station over there was blocking. There was nothing there. And you know what? It gave me this perspective to be able to look at something like I would never have thought. Like, he asked me for an open street.
Right.
I found it open. Dumb 19-year-old that I am. And the lesson, I'm telling you, it has to be over 30 years ago. I keep on saying to myself, where is the sun? And we all have that in business.
Right.
The sun for him is something different than what the sun is for you in your business.
Right.
But as business people, we're constantly having to ask ourselves, for our business, where's the sun?
Right.
It's like, you have these events, if you don't know to look, it's really the difference in certain people. I don't give myself credit for a lot of different things, but I'm a listener. And if you can't absorb things that people are teaching you, and also know who to be taught what from,
right.
Very, very important. But if you can't have that conversation, and what is your where's the sun moment?
Right.
If you can't say that.
So did you manage to find them a place?
Not on that block.
Not on that block. It was all full.
It was all full. Yeah, he was right.
Yeah.
And I was not driving there 2-3 times a day but it was. I've had a number of those situations. I learned so much at that job.
1 year.
Yeah, it was just.
This was in Century?
Yeah, it was Century 21. Mizrahi Realty was the name of the place. It was.
Well, where'd you go after that?
So somebody actually got me a job for another company that I was doing medical billing. That was actually on a payroll.
No way.
Yeah, I did. I did not. Could you imagine me sitting at a computer
I cannot.
Yeah.
There were computers back in the... No.
But these were life lessons at every single, and that job didn't actually even end so well.
Which one? The real estate?
No, that
medical billing. That
medical billing. It was this, I worked like a dog. I'll never forget. Like one time, the head of payroll comes over to me and goes, "You didn't clock out on a particular day." I'm like, "What do you mean? What day?" He goes, "Oh yeah, I did a 36-hour shift. They needed something to get out immediately. I stayed overnight in the place." It's crazy. He goes, "Oh, you did? Did you have approval for the overtime?" I said, "Let me tell you something. You got to work that out."
No way.
Oh, I was already on time and a half by Wednesday every week. By Wednesday, I was
How
time
did
and
you
a half.
crash?
I enjoy working. I just enjoy.
Wow.
I enjoy. It's not even the job. It wasn't as you know my personality. It's not the job that I saw myself long term at.
Right.
But there was room for advancement, and I was just. I like watching and seeing how people run businesses. It's just I was able to absorb a lot of stuff. I actually went from there with a friend of mine that actually worked together to try and start our own business.
What type of business?
Actually, it was going to be a medical billing business. Different, coming from that was a little bit different medical billing. What we were looking to get into. Long story short, you know what? People think you have an idea. I was just talking to a client the other day. Somebody called me up. He had a business idea he wants to start. He was asking my opinion and advice. And I started sharing some of my business ideas. You know, you and I talk about these type of things all the time, of different business ideas that I wanted to get into. And he's like, are you not scared that I'm going to steal the opportunity? I told him, I said, you know, Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem. I've been involved in enough startups to know that the point of idea to execution to success are miles apart. So if you're able to take this snippet of how to make this into a not tip of my million.
I got it. Tell me what you think about this. There's a company, Daily Giving. You can
Yes.
give $1 a day.
Incredible. Right.
My grandmother
Right.
gives me $200 every month to learn for her parents every single day.
Okay.
I thought of an idea. Why don't I set up a company? And this came during Shemini Atzeret, where you get the best ideas, or in the shower. It's one of those.
Shabbos is when I can't write it down.
Right.
If
someone wants someone to learn Lili Nishmas of their parents, they give $100 a month or
Right.
whatever, and then you pay someone to learn Lili Nishmas of that name.
The concept exists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People get paid for it.
A lot of it you'll find it more common.
I tell them.
And
like,
people
get paid names.
hiring people to say Kaddish. And then it's
I'm talking about a website where you could get a different name every single day, and you make a monthly check.
You know what? Do it.
Is there something like this out there?
I think the concept does exist.
Well, if it does, the guy's pretty smart.
Okay. But, you know, it's great. Look, at the end of the day, no matter what it is.
Making money, learning Lili Nishmas.
Yeah. Listen, there are so many different ways to make money. How do we make money?
Right.
What's the real way?
You work.
No, man above. That's it.
I take that back.
That's it. We are not in control. And until we realize that, until we recognize it and act accordingly, must do a stadless.
It bothers me that I didn't say that right away.
No, it's not bothering. Edit that out.
Every day, you excel at what you do. If people could see how you work, they'd instantly fall for your brand. But how do we make that happen? At Everyone Needs a Video, we capture the essence of your daily magic in video and turn it into a 24/7 showcase that lets you share your passion with the world. From ABA therapy, construction, web design, home care, nonprofits, and more, we ensure your value shines through. Visit everyoneneedsavideo.com today and let's make your business stand out.
When did you get married? In all these, like, Century, the medical billing?
So it's funny. Like I said, my father's a Rebbe, my mother's a housewife.
Right.
I'm not, again, you know my personality. I'm not the greatest at sitting still for long periods of time. So learning was getting a little bit challenging for me. Not, I always had a seder. Again, I'm an early riser. You know that. I was learning with the Rav of our shul. Always, helped open the shul up every morning.
You were then an early riser also?
By those standards, I'm much earlier today.
But like then it was like 6 a.m.?
Easy. I could have been even a little earlier than that.
Impressive.
Yeah.
I
I was the vecker in school, in yeshiva. Very dangerous job. My life was threatened every day. Waking guys up in a dormitory.
The trick is you open the door a little bit and take like a little water gun.
Okay, right. No, that wasn't the trick. And I didn't even realize how I became the vecker till people were tattling on me to the Rosh Hashiva that, why didn't you wake up? Well, David didn't wake me. When did it become David's responsibility? Like, people would ask me. They knew I always got up. Wake me up. And then next thing, I said, no, Rosh Hashiva's coming to me. You make sure he gets up tomorrow. Okay? I got to the point once, we had to evacuate our dormitory. There was a fire in the building. And I was one of the guys, because I was the only one who could wake up in the middle of the night to do this.
That's very funny.
Very funny. But what was going? You got me.
Medical billing.
So the medical billing didn't
Then
for
marriage.
one reason.
When did that happen? To the Heilige Rebbetzin.
I got Oh gosh,
Wanounou.
and this is on camera also.
Okay.
I got married.
No, you were like what,
Cheers,
21,
guy.
22?
I think I was 23.
23.
Oh, so that's what we were saying.
Century was 19.
Yeah, so I ate, you're asking me
Whatever,
years of this, I
yeah.
don't know. But
Don't age yourself.
I tell you, I'm 32.
My daughter asked me yesterday, Tati, how old are you? I said 28. You know what she asks me? When are you going to be 21 plus? Because that's what my wife always says.
But I knew that at that, Al Teva, I was not going to be supported in Kailo. So I started working to figure out, and I knew my parents were not in a position to help me out. So
Right.
I wanted to start making money to be prepared for marriage. I got married, my wife would know this better. I think I was 22, 23-ish.
Right.
But I had my own company at that point. So
Shit.
this guy, it shut down. This guy, again, I'm telling you, people don't understand. Failure is a part of growth.
Right.
Failure, you just got to recognize it. I went into business with that guy, the medical building guy.
Okay.
We had another idea. I basically opened up a distribution company. You want to hear about crazy people? You'll hear what crazy is. We opened up a distribution company, but for like the small bodegas, in Brooklyn, every corner has like 4 of them.
In the
over
Bronx,
there,
and they
they're all
got
playing,
windows on the cashier.
So we started selling products to that space.
Bodegas.
Yeah. So, and I remember we had it all. It kind of, I don't even remember how it got started, but it fell into our lap. However, it fell into it. My friend that I went into it actually was married with children. And he walks over to me one day, we didn't start yet. I have a friend of mine who's a super phenomenal salesman. Do you mind if we bring him in? Okay. That you learn. Hashem on Rosh Hashanah decided how much money I was making that year. If I have no partners or 1,000 partners, that's what I'm making that year. So no problem. It's the 3 of us. He was actually single. I was single. My friend was married. He needed to keep a job.
Okay.
So he was going to do one element of the business. And he and I, for like 2 days a week, would go do sales.
Okay.
And then one day a week, I would rent a van and do deliveries. It was wild.
Okay, so that's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
However it worked out. And it was a wild time. I just, we sell everything. And then you start learning certain elements. One of the things I'll never forget, there was a rude awakening. We sold detergents.
Okay.
It was one of the products. But in the same vein, I would sell straws.
Okay.
Nail clippers, anything that goes into these small guys. That's what we saw. But the problem was, do you know what it's like to deliver a pallet of bleach?
Okay.
You have no back arms left at the end of the day.
Right.
And these bodegas were not taking one or, they were taking 1 or 2 or 3. They didn't say,
small amounts.
and they expected us back there once a week to refill. It was small amounts. But it was like the hardest thing going around physically and time-wise. People don't understand. People really don't understand. I actually want to do a post on this. The life of a product till it gets to you, or the life of a service till it gets to you. I'm working with a company right now in the produce space, and I remember having a conversation with a potential employee for the company, and the hours of operations that I needed this person was, from 2 in the afternoon till 11 o'clock at night, or whatever.
Wow. So
And,
no weddings.
No, I get 9. Why 2? And I'm telling you, I'm very impressed with the person that they actually end up realizing it is when they had that aha moment. You went to a grocery store?
Yeah.
Do you know when they put in their orders? They wait till the end of the business day, see what's left on their shelves. They put in the orders. Then this company is, because a lot of this is stuff that goes bad, so you have to be able to turn it over quickly.
Right.
They then put their orders in at 9, 10 o'clock at night. They only get their deliveries at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, so they can load the truck so that your fruits, vegetables, whatever milk, whatever the products are that go stale or go bad, are on the shelves by 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. And there's a whole world of people that normal for them is
those hours.
5 in the evening till 5 in the morning. What's normal for you from 9 to 9, that is their day.
Wow.
You know? So the troubles that you may have going to a bank during normal business hours, they have no problem doing it. But when you are cozy at night under the covers,
they're working.
These guys are out knocking it out, you know?
Right.
You know, we don't think about that.
Very interesting.
Could you go to a hospital at 9 o'clock at night and say, oh, okay, come back, there's nobody here to treat you?
Right,
you know?
100%.
We don't recognize, you know, that there are so many business industries that their core business day is off hours, quote unquote.
Right.
And then also throw in the other mixture that the world has gotten so much smaller with technology now that overseas, somebody who's 12 hours, you know, our night is somebody else's morning.
Right.
You know, and just understanding that, being able to capture, you know how many businesses got started just being able to work those hours out? And
That is true. That is true.
Wild lessons that you learn on a daily basis.
How did you get up to consulting? Like, you were at IDT for a long time.
Oh, wow. Okay, so then
the distribution business.
So
like
distribution
bodegas.
business. Okay, so look, as life goes. So like I told you, these two guys were best friends, and we started this business. And ultimately, there was a challenge that came into their relationship, and I became the middleman trying to make peace. But the peace came, but it came at the expense of the business. Yeah.
They split or they shut it down?
I had to shut down the business. So
Couldn't you do it yourself?
I could have, but you know, again, Murphy's Law. I got married in between that, and started off in Brooklyn. My wife is not from Brooklyn.
Where's she from?
She's from Muncie.
Oh, okay.
And couldn't hack the Brooklyn life.
You lived there after the marriage?
I paid rent for a few months, but it didn't last very long. And we moved to Muncie. So once already, instead of starting something new, I ended up in another business.
IDT? Was that it?
No. There was still a couple steps before that. I worked for a company, Monroe.
Was that with Kraus from Empion?
That was his brother. I started off with his brother first. Then I went into him.
Okay.
His father was actually a very, very special man. He actually, I'll never forget to this day, because I ended up doing purchasing, as you know, for IDT. He taught me one of the most fundamental rules of purchasing that has stuck with me. Again, one of the first things how I train people in negotiations.
What did he do for? What was the business?
So that was we had a business that we did perceived closeouts. So everybody knows what a closeout is, right? Sometimes you have products out there that that basically, in its own right, are not such a great deal that people are going to jump all over it. But combining it with other products, or combining cheaper products to make something that's in existence
Give me an example.
I'll give you an example. A product that he had a tremendous amount of success with. I'm sure I don't know if you've ever heard of Turtle Wax.
Is that for cars?
Yeah, so they make car cleaning kits. So the Turtle Wax used to make this thing. It was a bucket. There were a bunch of schmatas in there.
Different chemicals.
With some soap, cleaning and sponges and all that. Yeah. If I remember correctly, they were selling for like $20.
You have an AutoZone.
Yes, so $20, $25, whatever the product was. He rebuilt it. He got his own bucket from one manufacturer. He got schmatas from another place. He got sponges from another guy. And he recreated this product. So if the Turtle Wax product that was sitting on the shelf for $20, $25, whatever the dollar amount, and his was selling for $5 to $8, right next to it, that's where the kind of stores they were, that was his shop that he created. It was I love the whole way of thinking. And
putting things together in his
bundling it and creating a product, again, that exists, but is now the lower level product that's out there for the...
Fascinating.
Yeah. It was, I can't repeat this enough. There's nobody who I worked for or with in anything that I have not learned something from.
Wow.
You just have to open your eyes, and again, you file it away. Just to jump ahead, you want to know how I got where the consulting's in. All these lessons of life, all of this, are coming out. There's nothing, I'm telling you, like I told you, where's the sun? If I tell you how many times with clients I have that conversation, whether saying in those words or in some kind of thing as weird as your son,
Right.
it's mind blowing.
Wow.
And learning how to work with different people. I've made my rounds in different industries. I've worked in a lot of different industries for a lot of different people.
Right.
I've worked with a lot of different people. And learning people's personalities, learning how they tick, just being aware how people tick, being aware, okay, so, this guy doesn't like this button, stop pushing that button. Okay, there are workarounds with everything. Successful guy, the concept of don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You have great employees that can't work in certain environments because the environment can't cater to them.
Right.
But sometimes, and I'm not saying to always do that, but you always got to get your scale of life out and say, what's the pros, what's the cons, and go from there. And there are pros and cons with everything. There's no such thing. There's no such thing as...
Is it always black and white? I feel like sometimes it's balanced and it's gray. And like,
There are always choices.
that is
And
true.
there's always reactions to our choices.
That's very
And
true.
you have to be able to know that you're a person that can handle those reactions and that you're not hurting yourself in the process. Or, not that you're not even hurting yourself, because sometimes there's pain, but that the pain is justified.
Very true.
There's nothing that doesn't come
Right.
with pain. You know anything that comes without pain?
Right.
I don't know anything that
The
comes.
best growth usually comes from those scenarios.
It's kind of tacky, but to jump up, you got to go down.
But,
Right.
Nah, that's good.
You know,
That's good.
tacky saying, but it's,
You worked by Kraus's brother, right, from MP on?
right. Then we went into that. Then from there, I went to work for my father-in-law. Yeah,
Mallory Lang. What did he do?
computers back then.
Okay.
Right.
He sold computers, fixed them.
Everything back then. Back then, there was no specialist. You said word computer if you were small business. We did networking, build outs, bought and sold.
He had people go down and
websites.
like wire everything up.
Yes. So I managed that office.
Was it a successful business?
It was a successful business. It's funny. It was one of the things I do coach with people, and this is part of where I got that experience, is how to work with family, when to work with family, when not to work with family. I love my father-in-law. My father-in-law was the greatest guy in the world.
Okay.
It was not the right match for us to work together.
All right, just daughter,
But-
that's enough.
Yeah, we got one partnership out of it, I'll trade you, right? But yeah, it was actually my wife was the one who pushed this.
You should go work with your father.
I should go work with. He was looking for somebody at that time.
Okay.
But again, you have to know your personalities.
Right.
Our personalities are not the same. He's a very successful guy. I've learned tremendous amounts. I love him dearly. He's a great guy. He's a great guy.
Every time my chavrusa works with his brother and father. You know Mark Cohn, actuary?
Yeah.
So his son is my chavrusa, Ellie.
Okay.
He works with his father and his brother.
Okay.
Anybody who works with family and successfully, I look up to them.
Anybody who works for his father successfully.
Anybody who works with family successfully, husband and wife. Down the hall from me in the building, in my office, there's a couple running like a low voltage company. It's amazing.
My greatest partnerships, happen to be a husband and wife team that I work with. My worst partnerships were a husband and wife.
Yeah,
also.
it can destroy marriages
Because
and it
a
can
lot
make
of
them
it's
stronger.
emotional. No, because there's a level of trust that you can have with a spouse that you can't have with an employee.
Right. But if you bring things from the house, the drama from the house, like if your kids are hectic in the morning, you're getting anxious, and then you bring that environment to the office, it's dysfunctional.
Everybody knows when husband and wife teams come to me, I start off saying, you have to convince me to do this. I'm not a fan
Really?
of husband and wife teams. I'm not a fan of them.
You know Rayam, like Hamaspik? You've heard of
I
Rayam?
think
My aunt and uncle. They
Okay.
started the organization. They've worked
Oh, wow.
together for a very long time. It's amazing. I see it happen.
What do they do? What's the organization?
Rayam.
No, but what do they
Special
do?
needs.
Oh, special. Okay.
Like a Hamaspik.
See, non-for-profit is different. Because
I know it's not-for-profit.
When two people have a passion about something, out of something,
Right.
I don't want to
Right.
pry, but if it came out of a need that they've had and they kind of had the, it's different.
Right.
Business, again, the challenges, it's different challenges. It's very, 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 you get your business challenges and you get this next level of challenge that doesn't leave you.
Right.
You can have a challenged relationship with your partner, but at 5 o'clock, 8 o'clock, whatever it is that your day ends, you're getting a break. There's a breather.
Go home when you're done.
Right. You know.
If you're a partner with your wife, that ain't happening.
It's very, very. You don't have the downtime. You don't have the time to have perspective.
Interesting.
That perspective, when you get, at the end of the day, you calm down, you cool down, kids are on your lap, they're bouncing, and you're all excited, you know, and you have that perspective, like, okay, you know what? Maybe I did push it, or maybe I should. How many times have I just had it. I just had it 3 days ago. I'm negotiating a contract for somebody, and the owner of the company, I did not see it the way the owner of the company was seeing it.
Okay.
I told them my piece, and they we're not moving.
Right.
And I said, you realize the risk that you're taking. It's significant risk.
Okay.
We're talking about millions of dollars of risk. It'll come to me in another way.
Okay.
Like, listen, I said, it's your business. You do what you want. But the next morning, I got a phone call. I had the time to air out. I understand why it is that you were saying what you're saying. Do what you need to.
But if he was partners with his wife, there's no downtime to overthink it. It's much harder.
And you know what? That's what I respect. I respect the person in the morning who could look up and say, you know.
But you know what? If you could find a couple that's like on the same page and they're both motivated to grow the company.
Oh my gosh, they're
Superstars.
Unstoppable.
Yeah.
Unstoppable. And if they have different skills.
Right.
You have to have different, for partnerships.
Right.
I know a lot of people are anti-partnerships. I am actually very, very pro-partnerships. But it has to be structured properly. You're dealing with people who are bringing different strengths and different weaknesses to the table.
Right.
Wow. Yeah.
Those are the type of people I look up to. It's
Yes.
crazy. So you went to work for your father-in-law, computers.
I think I actually skipped some things in between that, but it's not nothing important. I was in a close.
Nothing
you know what?
juicy.
Actually, I bumped into my father-in-law the first time. My family we were in the bungalow colony together with my in-laws. We actually,
You don't do that anymore, do you?
My wife and I have baby pictures together. I'm in the country. I live in Muncie. What do I know? My wife and I had actually baby pictures together. My mother and mother-in-law used to be best friends. Yeah,
That's how the shit have happened?
No, so what happened was I was actually working in another company. It was a closeout company. Again, it's its own little things. And my father-in-law did their computers. And I recognized him. He didn't recognize me. I went over to him. I said, "Oh, guess who I am?" You know. And you know, it basically led on from there.
Right.
The person who actually was the shadchan. Oh, you know, I'm telling you, Hashem works, and you just got to step back and take a look at how things happen. How did it even start before that? My wife was the first girl I was
Dating with.
I was read to. I never dated her at that time. Okay, I was a naive Brooklyn boy. You know, I'm gonna schlep out to Muncie for what you know. We didn't know we needed a passport to go with the GW. It was Brooklyn. You know, there's Muncie and Russia is like the same country. You know, the first person who actually mentioned my wife to me was a client of mine, my wife's uncle, in real estate. He was looking for a multifamily property, and he was the first one to mention it. I'm like, I'm schlepping out to
Muncie.
There was no reason. There were plenty of people in Brooklyn, you know.
Would you move to Brooklyn if it was up to you? The way you remember it from 30 years ago?
The problem is you're asking now, I hold a political seat in you know.
Yeah.
So,
no, but like lifestyle-wise, like in Bar Park and Flatbush, you have a shul every corner.
I tell my wife, just for the brownie points, which never worked, I moved back. I'm only here because of her.
Yeah.
But I don't want this on video. You know, I don't know. It's changed. All my friends that you know what? When you
talk
grow
about
up,
the dynamic.
So I'll tell you something. You know, and you see this for yourself. When you grow up in an environment and you grow with the environment, okay? Picture you moved even to a new neighborhood, but a different neighborhood.
Right.
Till you kind of mesh in that area, it takes a lot of time.
Right.
You're used to certain things, you know? So it's a different lifestyle. It's a different lifestyle. I love Brooklyn. I loved it when I was growing up there. I miss it. You know, I see even the differences of my kids, how they were versus I am. You know, they won't walk to a bus. I'm one of the few people who walk to shul.
Right.
In Muncie, everybody, you know,
Car.
Well, it's a 2-car family. We didn't have a 2-car family.
Right.
You needed to go to the grocery. You walk to the grocery store.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
But this suburban life doesn't,
Right.
you know, it doesn't work like that. So, you kind of get used to now taking a car everywhere you're going, but
Right.
you'll get very unused to it when you're trying to find parking. My wife knew, unless somebody was holding a limb in a bag that we had to go to the hospital, I was not giving up my parking spot, especially an alternate side day. You're just not giving that out. You sure you can't sew that arm back on? You sure? Because I really don't want to give up the spot. That's most of the conversations, how they went on,
Yeah. My wife had a tiny car when we were dating. She used to tell me, finding you can spend an hour around the block. A small car. It's crazy.
But it's a difficult question to ask. Could you reincorporate that lifestyle back? I don't know.
Did you know there was a Super Bowl ad that had a small?
There was a what? I'm
A
sorry?
Super Bowl ad.
Yeah.
That a small part of it was filmed in pomegranate.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't watch
Hellman's mayonnaise.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't watch it.
No, it was
No,
someone
I-
sent me
yeah.
a link of that.
Really?
I checked it out. I didn't even know the Super Bowl was still Sunday afternoon.
I'm just sitting there for the chicken wings. That's it.
That's very funny. So you went to work for your father-in-law.
Then I went to IDT.
How did you leave your father-in-law? That's not a easy conversation to have.
I think there was
Pops, I'm out of here.
No, there was an understanding that with both of us that this wasn't. I was there for a while.
What's a while? 2-3 years?
Could be.
Okay, it's not bad.
Yeah. But I learned an enormous. I actually, because of that knowledge, I got my next job. I started off as a purchasing agent in IDT.
Okay.
And my knowledge of the technology purchasing, because I did a lot of purchasing of technology back then, actually helped me out tremendously.
What was your
to get
salary when you started IDT?
It's funny you're asking that question, because I was just discussing. I met a former IDT guy reminiscing. My boss used to make fun of me, of how much I allowed myself to go. We had to separate. So I let's just say they got a song out of me when I went to work there. I started off at $50,000.
You've been working already for what, 8 years? 10 years?
Well, you keep it going to the years.
Whatever.
I
You've
don't
been working
know.
for a while. 50 grand then?
I was making. Maybe it was
Bupkis?
because at that point already I had, for sure, 2 kids. Did I have my third one yet? I don't remember if I had my third one. And I managed the purchasing department for IDT worldwide.
So,
Well, it turned into worldwide.
what did IDT
I have
do at the
so
time?
much hakar satov to that company.
Jonas?
To
Howard?
obviously, and to the company as a whole. It was an environment where, and people don't understand this, and actually, I don't know if you saw my post today. I see people are really taking this off the lines, and there have been some follow-up posts that actually saw me middle typing, because I'm trying to. There's somebody who I respect tremendously who actually wrote something. He made a repost off of my post that I think people really don't understand the employer-employee relationship.
There'll always be 2 sides of the table. Always. The
No.
employees will think one way, employers think a different way.
No, but if you want to be successful, there's one way to think.
As an employee,
Yes,
Okay.
I don't care whether you're employee or employee. If you want to be successful, there's only one way to think.
and that is?
You are the key to your destiny. Nobody is the key. Nobody's going to make anything happen for you. It's all on you.
Can you elaborate on that?
So I'm going to give you IDT as the example. I killed myself at IDT. I worked like a dog.
You killed yourself as a medical
Hours.
billing place.
Hours I did it.
And it was in Newark. It's not close.
No, then we were in Hackensack, actually. Again,
So it's a
6 and
half
1
hour
heavily.
away?
It was a little bit more than
Right.
that, doing traffic, But I was not scared to work. I was not scared to do. And I made myself as irreplaceable as possible.
Okay.
And doors were opening up for me there. And opportunities opened up for me.
Promotions?
And not necessarily promotions. They led to promotions. But, okay, you're doing this well. I'm now giving you this project. No money.
Right.
Okay? You're doing this well. I'm now giving you this opportunity.
More responsibility.
More responsibilities.
But more salary?
Not yet. No
So
salary.
today's days, Gen Z is like, you ask me to do more, pay me more.
There is a mentality that, and not only that, you pay me more, and then I'm going to do it.
What is your thoughts on if someone's getting an increase in their job description, like they're adding more to their plate? Not short term as a project, but long term. I'm giving you now this to take on. Should they be paid more? Or should they wait for the annual increase?
You see, you're asking a very difficult question.
Okay.
We obviously there's an element that we always want, that I've worked. I should be compensated for my work.
Right.
Okay. How do you define value of a person? We're not slaves.
Right.
How do you define value? How do you define the value of yourself?
What someone's willing to pay for it. This is only worth
And I learned that
something
in real estate.
if someone's willing to pay for it. 50 cents or $500.
Exactly.
Whatever someone's willing to pay for
Okay.
it.
But how are you making yourself more valuable? When I learned that concept, the first time that ever was told to me is that how do you the value of a house is what somebody's willing to pay for.
Right.
Now, I can't move a house
Right.
to another location.
Right.
Okay? Then you get the concept of location, right? But how do I increase my value? How do I increase your value as a coach now talking to you?
Right.
Okay? So depending on where you are in life, okay, and depending on your mindset, and really should really start off depending on the mindset of the person. If you're a guy that always has the handout expecting, you're a very difficult guy to work with.
100%.
If you are now coming with an ego, and I can explain to you, you know what? I don't want to start making the firestorm, but let's touch the bee's nest for a second. If you're foolish enough today to go to college and spend $100,000, $200,000 and walk away with a liberal arts degree, okay, and think that you're bringing a value, but you're not willing to put that effort into an office, okay, who's paying you,
Right.
maybe not what you think your true value is, and maybe not even to your true value. But if you could justify in your mind that I could spend 4 years in a college, okay, not get a penny for it,
Pay for it.
and pay for
Pay
it.
200 grand.
Whatever.
Not 200 for liberal arts. 50,
Whatever.
75, yeah. That's a
Whatever,
lot of money.
Okay? But then not have that same expectation in your first years of working. Okay?
I love that. It's a good idea. Yeah.
You're a fool.
It's a great perspective.
You're a fool. Okay? In my book, there are going to be
This
a lot
could be
of
a
people,
short by itself.
Yeah. There are a lot of people who could disagree with me on it, and honestly, I don't care.
Right.
But I'm telling you what I've seen, and in the line of work I see, and I've worked with college kids, and I've worked with the kids. I'm going to tell you a great story by my father-in-law.
Right.
It's going to be weird. I'm telling you, every single technician, I can say this with 100%, you can't use statistics like that usually. Every single technician that graduated from a technical college that worked for us versus the kids that were taking apart their mother's home computers, and we had a number of those kids working, and the mother was like, "What'd you do with it?" "Ma, don't worry, I got this. I'll fix it."
Yeah.
Those kids were 10 times more successful than the ones who went through the past, that went to the technical college, that came to us with a degree.
Right. Grit.
There's just something about that soul of a person that says, you know what? I am working for myself. And that was my attitude. Was a lot of people used to bother me, even in IDT. What are you doing? You should be going home. They don't value you. And like, they didn't understand the concept. I think you and I did a post on that. You may have even commented on that. I wasn't doing it for them. I was doing it at that time to build my own resume. Because I know I could not survive at the dollar amounts that I was at.
You did what it takes.
I did what it takes. I want to go so far to tell you. It's a crazy story. I had while I was there, a few people offer me some opportunities. Okay? One of the opportunities needed a resume from me.
Okay.
So I said, you know, what's the harm? Let me just make a resume anyways. I think everybody should always, And there was a friend of mine that was a professor in a college who did resume writing on the side. And I asked him, Mr. So-and-so, if you don't mind, please. He calls me up and he says, I know you for a very long time. And I know anything that comes out of your mouth, I trust. He says, I trust everything that comes out of your mouth. He says, you gave me your work history, and it's going to look like a lie on any resume. I was doing purchasing. I was head of risk
Really?
Yeah, all the insurance came onto me. I doing multiple roles because basically I reported into the CFO of the company, and the CFO, I was the highest ranking guy in the finance department that was non-financial. Everybody else
How
was an
long did that
accountant,
take?
controller. I was proving myself, and he was a good guy.
5 years in?
No, this is early on. See, that was one of the beauties of where I really had a lot of cars to type. IDT back then was a company. Just dump. If he can handle it,
Take it.
Just take it. If he can handle it, just take it. And I expanded my toolbox, for lack of a better word, in enormous ways.
How many employees did they have at the time? A couple hundred, couple thousand?
Definitely a couple hundred. I could be even 1,000. They were in multiple countries at that time.
Energy, right?
No.
What was
This is
IDT?
energy wasn't even a twinkle in the eye back
What
then.
was IDT doing?
Then it was like it was a phone company.
Telecom.
Calling cards.
Isn't that
Internet.
Net2Phone?
Net2Phone had gone public 2 weeks after I started.
But that was the company.
That was one of their
Interesting.
businesses, and they just gave me opportunity after opportunity after opportunity, and nothing to do with purchasing. You know, it was just if it had to go under the finance department and it was
Right.
non-financial, David, take it. David, take it.
Did your wife or you ever think like, I'm working so hard, give me a raise, like without you asking?
So it's funny. I told you, my boss made fun of me. I'll never forget the time.
Okay.
He called me in the office. He goes, my chief negotiator over here, how you started working. And he was very, again, Hashem works in mysterious ways.
Right.
You want to hear it? I'm telling you something. It happens. We are not in control. He was more generous with me with stock options because of how I started salary-wise.
Stock options, for the people that don't know what that is.
All right, so publicly traded companies.
Like IDT.
We trade with stock,
Yeah.
okay? There are, I guess, I don't know the proper way to in layman's terms, but there are these stock, like virtual stock. I'm sure there's better ways of describing it. Somebody should chime in. That you as an employee, they can give out that kind of comes out of the company's
Value? Equity? Ownership?
Yeah, whatever. They have abilities of giving it. Okay? I'm sure there's a proper definition of it.
But those stock options are probably worth what the company's worth on the stock
At
market,
the time,
right?
and sometimes you can get it a little bit lower because they're able to give it to you, like it'll be purchased maybe at a lower value originally and then give it to you. So hypothetically, if it's trading at $1, maybe they're giving it to you at 90 cents. So you have a spread over there a little bit. And then if the stock starts going up, right? So
When you left, you sell it, you hold on to it, you can do whatever you want.
So you're getting a little technical with the things, but there's something called an open period and closed period. You can only
Okay.
have certain times of the year that you could sell the stock.
Okay.
Okay? Long story short, from those risks that I took,
Yeah.
I was able to afford a down payment on my house. Wow. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like what it is to put on a
Yeah,
house today,
fine.
but back then,
Even $50,000, 100, whatever, you know?
yeah, it basically helped me buy my first house. So it paid off. So at the end of the day, I may have gone in at a lower number, but
Right.
you know, again, Hashem's the one who decides what you're going to make in the year. There's no questions about that.
Why did you leave IDT? How much were you making when you left IDT?
Let's
Broke
put
200?
Yes. Yeah. The
How long
company
ago was
doing
it? Not too long. What was it 10 years ago? 15 years ago?
No, I don't know. It was. I'm now out of my energy business for.
Check LinkedIn.
I don't even know how accurate I just put numbers over
Right.
there. Probably 6-7 years. I'm out of that.
Energy,
Out of Alpha.
okay.
I was prior to Alpha. I was in Heiko.
Heiko sold, no?
Heiko sold. I wasn't with part of Heiko. I was part of Alpha when Heiko sold. But I helped start Heiko. It's a long time ago. It's been
15 years plus.
you know, whatever led up to it, there was a straw that
What
broke
happened?
the,
Yeah, like,
so
why'd you
there
leave?
was a straw. No, I'd
But actually,
rather,
well,
I don't mind talking to you privately about it. It's not something
Wow.
like, but there was a straw that broke the camel's back. But you know, in life, and I'm by nature, I'm an extremely conservative guy.
Right.
But in life, you got to know when it's time.
It's hard. People get comfortable. It's a curse.
I was very comfortable.
It's almost a curse.
By the way, yeah, I was very comfortable. I was there almost 12 years. I loved the place. I only have positive things to say about the company. I love the people I was working with. And at the time, it wasn't the company who did it for me. It was me, what I did for the company. If you always wait for people to make you happy, make you comfortable, it's not going to happen. Whatever I do, I make myself happy. I do. And, we have a very different mindset. Companies now putting in game rooms and this is noise.
Right.
It's noise. If you are not a happy person and cannot make yourself happy, people are not making you happy.
Right.
You know what? And it may upset people. And I'm not telling you there aren't bad bosses out there. And I'm not telling you there are not bad environments out there. We have them. You know what? Move.
Right.
At the end of the day, you are in control of your life. And if you're not, you're making yourself into a slave. There's no reason for it. I'm not telling you it doesn't come with pain. I'm not telling you it's for everybody. And I'm not telling you not to do it with a plan. Don't jump ship before you have something.
Right.
I'm dealing with a situation right now, very, very, very high-paid individual. He jumped ship and thought that the world was going to come beckoning at him, at his doorstep.
Everyone's going to try to hire him.
And you know what? This guy is in a jam. I can't impress upon that enough on a person.
Side note, tell him to call me.
Yeah, but sometimes there's some building that needs to be done before you're ready to put something in the market, But the bottom line is, it was just time. I don't know how to say it. It was time. I was working under somebody that, as my boss, the CFO, before I took the job in energy, his words, he's like, David, I know you didn't go to college. The guy you're going to be working under they're teaching, in colleges, they're teaching him and his principles. Wild guy. And not many people were able to work with this guy. He was...
Why would company... You know how many times I've gone or interacted with companies and they see like the wrong people in the wrong positions and they're killing reputation.
Oh, he wasn't the wrong person. He wasn't the wrong person in the wrong position.
He was the right person in the right position.
He was the right person, but you know what? Again, you get that scale of life. If I tell you, I know people left this guy's meetings crying. He was abusive.
That's what I'm talking
about.
Hold on.
But if I tell you what I learned from this man, okay, there are two people who I would probably say were mentors in business for me. He was one of them.
Really?
It was when I learned what it is what he was about. Again, so there's a gruffy outside. But the stuff that I learned from this guy, the way he made me think, wow.
Really?
He really is a guy who took me to another level. He and this other guy, and I actually worked with both of those people. Unfortunately, the other person is no longer alive. I was fortunate, we always look at the negative of it. I was fortunate enough to work with this person for about 6 months. And that before he passed. And wow. Next level people.
But I don't understand why companies would hire managers that make the employees in the team want to quit.
So you know what?
You're going to lose your people.
Okay. You know what?
There's learn to work with everybody. I hear that.
No.
Someone's abusive.
I'm going to tell you something.
It's a question.
And people are not going to like what I'm going to say right now. Okay? In business, you have to learn how to accommodate, okay? And we have to accommodate ourselves for success. Okay? What is the stronger path that's going to get me to where I want to get to? Okay? So this guy was a proven entity. When I'm telling you a proven entity, I don't need to mention names, but as a proven entity, okay? If I were the owner of a company like that, and I had a guy like that working for me,
right,
it would be my responsibility to build a team around him that could work with him.
Interesting.
Okay? Versus if I have a strong team and I'm bringing somebody in, okay, I would need to bring in the right person to be able to work with the team. There's a real chicken and egg scenario that people... we've gone into this level of mindset that, oh, people are going to leave you if you don't do this. You know what? It's not a bad thing for people to leave.
Right.
It really isn't. And you know what? I hate to say this, and I don't mean to play with people's lives like this, but you know what? Sometimes people outgrow a business.
Right.
Okay? Just because you're in a certain role doesn't mean you get promoted to another role. I'm sorry.
Right.
It's not a one of the things I did, how I actually got into the coaching, which we haven't gotten into yet, one of my first entries into purchasing is when I was into coaching. I'm sorry. When I was doing purchasing, I started getting very close with a lot of vendors of mine.
Okay.
Okay, and with their bosses. And before I knew it, the sales managers and owners of companies used to call me up for a favor, saying, David, they've never dealt with a purchasing department like me. Would I mind interviewing salespeople before they hired them? And no problem.
But they wanted your business. They were knocking on your doors all
Yes.
the time.
I had great relationships with the people who I worked
Wow.
with. Okay, and I'll never forget the one conversation I had with somebody. Oh, David, calling to wish to tell you, I'll make up a name. Mark was just promoted to sales manager. I'm like, have you lost your mind? He goes, what do you mean? He said, he's a great salesman. I said, have you lost your mind? Yeah, he's a great salesman. What about Mark do you think makes him into a sales manager? It's a different job.
Very different skill.
Is he a motivator? Does he know how to look? He goes, no, but he threatened to leave if he didn't get it. I said, so you show him where the door is then. So because he threatened you and because he has longevity or whatever it is in the company, that justifies growth?
Can a company quickly turn around such a decision? Say,
Yes.
no, because otherwise employees are like, oh, this company makes decisions fast,
You know
radical,
what? Look, again, it's very, very important. And if I tell you one of the strongest elements of what I bring into coaching is an outside perspective.
Right.
How do you get your scale of life out? Okay? I got to make a decision. Every action gets a reaction. Everyone.
Right.
There are good reactions, there are bad reactions. There are manageable reactions, but there's a reaction.
Right.
No such thing as not having a reaction. Otherwise, you didn't make a decision. Okay? You always are taking out that scale and saying, okay, what's the known that I know is going to happen? And
What's the unknown?
how do I deal with the unknowns? Because we can't always know what
Right.
the unknowns are.
Right.
Okay? And yeah, sometimes we got to take it on the chin. I was talking to somebody called me up for some advice yesterday. 1 year, for whatever distractions they had, they cut their business in half.
Let go of half the team.
No, revenues. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Whatever distractions, it's not important. It's too fresh. I don't want it getting out there. But they're already in the process. They've almost made back that cut. And we were talking about ways of getting them to the next level.
Right.
These are not one size fits all. And anybody who makes life, or this is more of a business podcast, I guess.
Right.
Anybody who makes business into, it's one of my problems with a lot of these organized coaching environments. That they have the
workshop?
book. No, I don't want to mention things, but we all know these organized coaching systems, shall we say, okay? This is how you got to do it. This is how you got to do this. If people don't meet this kind of model, then they're out. And I've watched companies be destroyed because people don't fully understand or appreciate the decisions and the impact of the decisions that they're making, okay? My way of coaching is extremely customized. I don't, and again, Baruch Hashem, I've had so many of these life experiences that I'm able to take and bring to you and say, Tuli, okay, you are an outgoing guy. People love to be around you. You have no weaknesses, so you're an easy person to work with, okay? But what is it? And I deal with all these different types of people, and you customize the business to the person, okay?
Right.
And customize the management of how you do, and customize the team around you to what it is that's going to work and magnify you. not magnify a system that doesn't necessarily work, okay? And at times, it comes at an expense. You know what? We've not brought in people that maybe have been very successful in Blackbird, okay? Because you know what? They were culturally or chemically, is probably better. It wasn't that fit.
Right.
And we would have had other damage from doing that, okay? So what I do, there's no system. I don't go in. I get this all the time. Okay, tell me your theory on how you're going to do it. There's no theory to this.
Right.
Who are you? What are you? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are the assets that you've created around you, systems-wise, people-wise? And now let's build from there. Do you have the right people working for you? Are they in the right positions?
Right.
Yes, these are questions. And yeah, I'm working with a situation right now, and it's a family business, and there's a family member who's about to get a very rude awakening right now that is going to be moving positions. Because you know what? Their feelings are wrong. They were put in the wrong position, and not a fault of theirs. Okay,
Right.
you know, it's sad when people see something, they think the grass is greener. I want to be there. Well, is it right for you?
Right.
Will you thrive there? You know?
Do you ever see yourself? Your company's called the Trepper Plan,
Yes.
right?
You know why?
Why?
Trepper. What's Trepper?
I have no idea.
Trepper's a nickname for entrepreneur.
Really?
Yes, that's how I got it.
Trepper Plan, entrepreneur?
Yeah. To me,
I didn't
no
know
matter
that.
what, no,
How would I know?
we never talk. I see. You know, we gotta come on. We gotta bond. a
We gotta
little
go out
bit.
once
We
a
gotta
week
go
for
out
lunch.
once in a while. You know, some maybe escape room or
Yeah.
something like that. Inside joke, if that makes it. But
Would you ever see yourself hiring more coaches to build out the Trepper Plan? Like,
so
David Wanounou has X amount of hours per day, per week, per month. Do you ever want to do that?
okay, so you're asking. You're asking a very.
Are there more David Wanounous?
No. So you're asking. I actually. I'm trying to answer this question. There are many different. Wow, you're asking a very complex question.
Have you thought about this?
No, more than you've ever thought. Okay, and in life, it's all about growth. Okay, for me, it's all about and whatever it is, whether it's fiscal, personal, I'm all about growth. Okay, I find it. We all have people that we lean on, and anybody out there who doesn't have somebody who they can talk to is a fool. Okay, because perspective, and that's where one of the things that I bring to my clients is perspective. Okay, and challenging of them. If you don't have somebody in your bullpen that's challenging you, you're never going to be successful. I have a lot of people who challenge me on why am I a one-man show. Okay, so, and I will tell you, multiple different things. I have not found, until very recently, mind you, and haven't done anything with it yet, but I've recently found somebody who, I'm not telling you we even see eye to eye, but he is the chemical makeup of what I believe a coach needs.
Interesting.
Yeah. I believe you cannot be in this role if you've not have not had certain life experiences. This is not something you're learning from a catalog.
A book, yeah.
Or a book.
I know how you feel about coaches
you
from
know
books.
That?
Yeah.
I never recommend books to people. Never, because you know what? The challenge with all these podcasts and books is that as a person, okay, not we're not learning from this
Right.
one. Is people take away what they want to hear and what they're good at, and not the challenging things. And also, they go look at it. You have 10 things to do. I forgot
Right.
there's a theory on this.
Okay.
You're always going to do the things that you enjoy more and push off the stuff that you don't
Right.
enjoy. So what am I reading in a book? Well, how's a book challenging me?
You used to push back on me all the time. Like,
I can
when I
do
was
that.
selling air fresheners, remember?
Yes.
Do you remember our
I do.
conversations?
I think you still meant from a hint of sage.
I used to sell air fresheners, and David always used to ask, Tuli, what's going to be with you? 5 years, 10 years? I'm like, I don't know, I just want to make money.
But, and that's usually one of the biggest mistakes, that people don't recognize the success does not come from that.
Right.
Is it Gemara? I forgot. Chazal, definitely.
Chazal
Every industry has wealthy people and unsuccessful people. Every industry, okay? think about it. What's the most real estate? You know, we see
Right.
multi-billionaires. How many people do we know have gone bankrupt in real estate?
Right.
It's not the key. It's actually one of the first things when I do career coaching with people is when I ask them, like, tell me, you know, what you want to do, and I look at the things that they do, and we start statistically looking. I'll give you an example. Let's take the post office. Okay, somebody tells me I want to be a mail carrier. Okay, so what does an average mail carrier make? 70, 80.
Right.
I don't know, whatever
Yeah,
they make.
okay.
Where do you max out? The post general, the top guy, who probably millions and millions of people are under them. I don't know how many, maybe it's exaggeration. I don't know how many people are in the post office, okay? Let's say he makes $500,000, okay? That's your ceiling.
Right.
So when somebody comes around, we're going to real estate, the ceiling's in the billions, if not trillions, okay?
Right.
So the statistics of success, of real financial success, is very different. So I'm very much in looking at it and saying, okay, so this guy wants to go here. So, but who is he at the end of the day? Will he be a business owner? Okay. So I may even recommend him go into lower positions at lower rates, but he'll have a better learning experience.
Right.
Most kids, I guess I could say kids, coming into careers, my suggestion is never for them to look at money. Is always look for a boss or a manager that's going to mold them. They will leapfrog those people tenfold within the years. And I've seen it, okay? I'm a product of it, by the way, okay? Leapfrog those people who came in at those numbers.
Right.
Because they're building themselves. They're having business people mold them and train them.
Learning
to
experience.
learn. You're learning on the job. There is no greater college than that.
Right.
There is no greater college than that. And it's funny. I'll never forget the time. And he didn't even answer me. And I understand why he didn't answer me, and I appreciate it. One of the conversations with somebody I had over the years, it was the summer that I graduated 12th grade.
Okay.
Okay? And
Like 80 years ago?
80. There was dinosaurs in camp with me over there. And basically the head counselor, who was actually a teacher of mine, he was my computer teacher at the time, came over to me, and we were schmoozing. David,
Right.
so, you know, what's the plan? You going to college? You going to this? I said, come on. You were my teacher. Do you see me sitting in a class for 4 years? No, you weren't so bad. I'm like, your nose is growing, okay? I wasn't a troublemaker in class. I was this place, you know? And he goes, so what's the plan? I said, to be honest with you, here's my thoughts. Now, I was a 17-year-old, I think, at the time.
Right.
So my years, now I'm thinking about it, I was 17 that summer. So I'm off with you with the other years, or the other stuff.
That's not bad.
Right? I said, here's my theory. Making up a name. Maish goes to college for a 4-year degree. Back then, you couldn't do it by mail in 6 months, couldn't get your bachelor's degree, so it wasn't like that, you know? So he's gonna go to college for 4 years, get his degree in whatever. I'm gonna work for 4 years. And you know, I'm a hard worker. I'm gonna work for 4 years. Now, Maish and I both go on an interview for the same role. You're the boss. Are you taking the guy with the 4 years experience, or are you taking the guy with a 4-year degree? So he looks at me and goes, I hear your thoughts. I'm not answering you. Like, okay, it's not very helpful, but, you know, there was no way in the world I was going to say. I'll never forget my mother one morning, and I was in 11th grade. It was actually one evening. Goes, you know, David, we never spoke about what's going to be after high school. You want to go to college? I said, Mom, you're my mother. I love you, and this is your responsibility. You were able to ask me that question once. I said, next time I drop out of high school, I'm like, I can't. Years in college, okay, we'll have to figure it out. I know I made my parents very nervous about my future. Right. I had teachers told me, I'm telling you, that they said they wished for me to at least be a garbage man. Yeah, trust me, I had a rough schooling. You know, there's nothing like a kid developing and just failing. You know, you're not successful, and that's what your whole life is really, is school when you're growing up. And you're just failing. That wasn't bad. It was just failing, you know. Math was not clicking. They weren't teaching back then. You know how I was taught. physically. That's it. Somehow, but the math problem still didn't get into my head like that. I don't know. That technique didn't work.
Right on the handle.
Whacking in there, it still didn't work. But but the bottom line is that I always knew I was going to go into business for myself. I didn't know how, I didn't know where. And I'll tell you something, IDT almost changed that for me because I was growing there and financially I was doing pretty well. And I was happy. Well, why should I change?
Right.
You know, I'm glad I went. I always recommend, if you can, it's not for everybody, but if you can to go off on your own, always would recommend that. But I know the answer to the question now. So it's a very funny thing. And really it depends on the person, and it really depends on where you're going. If you go into the world of a professional, I don't think you have much of a choice. You know, but limiting yourself, be careful with decisions that you make that have ramifications of limiting yourself. Education, and education does not mean school, but if you're not constantly learning, and it doesn't stop.
Right.
There's no such thing as it stopping. You know, and if you're not constantly doing it, that's when you're failing.
I had someone here on the podcast, a career coach.
I'm not the first one. Okay.
She said college is the biggest scam, and they're so good at marketing that they convinced generations that then the generations would convince the next generation to go to college. Became a standard at one point.
So the problem is, I want to.
And why do you need
wanna change
120
that.
credits for a certain degree
Yeah,
when
okay.
half of those classes are not
change that.
relevant?
Yeah, but I want to change it a little bit. Scam is a strong word, but unfortunately, college today has really been extremely harmful. We just saw what college is today, and these are top universities with these racist actions.
Oh, the protests, yeah.
But it's not even the protests. You know what? The protests are one thing, but basically we saw, you know,
woke ideologies
in front of Congress, the heads of all the
Harvard,
top
yeah,
tier,
yeah.
and what they allowed, you know,
Fascism.
what they allowed to happen. And you know, thank goodness, society was able to put the pressure on them to make the decisions.
To resign.
But you know, we've already convinced, like, you know, that if we can't provide college to kids, then they're going to be failures. You know what? It's the worst message to send to a child. It is the worst message to send to a child that you need this to be successful. But don't learning and having an environment where you can grow in a good environment. Unfortunately, I think they've created a toxic environment that I don't know that the current, what we identify as what colleges today is the right environment. But you know what? If there's one thing that college will provide you a value to, if you use it properly, is it's an incredible networking place.
Kevin O'Leary says that all the time.
Oh, really?
Cuba,
and
yeah.
if you're using it for anything less than that, if you've gotten that out of it, that has tremendous value.
Right.
But you have to know how to maintain your network.
Right.
Which, again, you know, I don't know how much more time we have left. These are all topics that, as you can see, we can go into, you
Right.
know. But your network is basically your path. You know, I know it's a kind of a lame saying, is, you know, who you know.
Your network is your net worth. That's something that clicked with me all the time.
Yes, it definitely.
Especially recruiting.
It's definitely a tremendous asset.
Right.
Okay, but there is no one thing that defines success.
Right.
And please don't think, okay, that's it. I'm gonna go on LinkedIn. I'm gonna go network with 1,000 people, and then like wait for the checks to come. You know, it reminds me. I'll never forget at the computer. It's just this funny thought. One of my kids came with me. Must have been 4 years old. I think I shared the story with you.
Yeah, it's a good story.
And you know, she's sitting in my lap, and you know, she's sitting in my corner. She's typing away and banging the keys, and I see, and she's looking. I'm like, what are you looking for?
Right.
Honey, what are you looking for? I know you go to work to make money. Where does the money come out of? You know, and she's looking, you know. But that was a sidebar. But you know, you always have to have the nachas of the kids. So you know, Baruch Hashem. But there is no one thing that if you just got this, boom.
Right.
There's so much there's so much that goes into success, and there's so much of success that we are not in control of.
Right.
And we have to understand that. At the end of the day, it's Hashem. At the end of the day, we have a shtadlus to do. At the end of the day, if you don't have it, you must go out and buy the Chavas Alvavas. If you can do it in Hebrew, Art Scroll has a tremendous sefer
Right.
that I give it out to people. I have a case of it in my car. Always give them out. Clients get it from me.
The small ones or the big ones?
I give out the big ones. I don't know. I just,
Trepper plan must be doing well.
Trepper plan is doing Baruch Hashem, whatever Hashem wants it to do. But it was life changing for me. I have the schus today of having a chavrusa every morning on bitachon. We start with Shar Bitachon. Right now we actually are in middle of the altar. There's a sefer on the altar. We've gone through Rav Victor Miller. We did the Beis Halevi multiple times. It's Baruch Hashem. It's one of my. I'm sorry.
You're learning also Peliotes, you told me.
Oh, but that's different. He actually has a whole stiff on it, which wild. It's my greatest time of learning in the day. Okay, and the perspective that you get out of it, and the foundations that you can't be successful without it.
Right.
You just can't, because you know what?
Right.
You need to be able to define success.
100%.
So,
before we finish, David, I want to ask you: is there some piece of advice you can give to someone that they want to know what it takes to be successful as an employee? You had a good career. Now you're on your own. You've been a business owner. You've been an employee. What is it? What does it take?
as an employee, you are your own boss.
Okay.
Okay?
Define that. What does that
You
mean?
you can define your success.
Okay.
Okay? But you have to want it. You have to do it for yourself.
What does that mean? Like
You
actual.
have to, the actual element of it is, I don't care if you're working for somebody in concept and you're getting a payroll, a check from somebody.
Right.
But if you're not doing it for yourself, and you're not building on yourself and growing on yourself, you have no concept of ever being successful. Because the skills that you create and build for yourself is what defines you, and you could take that anywhere. You really could take that anywhere, okay? But you have to be able to look at yourself in a way and say, move out the distractions. And there's so many distractions in our life, okay? My client's getting me angry. I have this deadline. My family life is crazy. There's so many. We all have it. And not to say that some of us don't have it worse than others,
Right.
okay? And unfortunately, and I say this unfortunately, we've had a lot of regulations that have come in that they think that they're protecting employees when they really are not protecting employees with a lot of these things, and creating environments where it's just getting harder for employers to have employees, or
Right.
give credit and help employees grow that should be growing, maybe at a different pace than other people, okay? But if you're not able to be self-reflective, then get somebody around you who can help you be self-reflective.
Right.
We all need a chavrusa with this. We all need partners, more than just a learning partner, but a partner who cares for us, a partner who wants us to grow and be happy at our growth, not be jealous of our growth, and surround ourselves with people that can come to us and say, David, you got to do this.
How does someone find that?
It's not easy.
So,
It's not easy, but you got to look for it. What is easy in life?
right.
Okay? Some of us are lucky to find that person. I will tell you, I make it a point, you see that right person, you become a leech to that person. Okay? Even if you can capture, there's some people I can only talk to once, twice a year, 3 times a year.
Really?
This person who was nifter, I cherished every second because I knew what I was able to learn from this person. I knew what I was able to learn from this person. And there's nobody who I don't learn from. Okay? The amount that I've learned from you, you can make all the faces you want. Okay? I don't surround myself with people who don't improve me. Okay? I don't. Okay? And I don't think any of us should.